See, when you invest in something and you hustle and you work for something, you got a different type of attachment to it. You're going to have a cold day in hell for somebody to try to take this from you. We live by this, we die by this. We don't surrender, we don't retreat. Every man must search his own soul. I listen to that quote every morning. I want to get mine out the mud. I want mine out the dirt. I don't want no handouts. I don't want no celebrity to co-sign me and somebody to see me in the street and say, I remember when such and such put you on. No. It may sound harsh, but I'm going to beat myself up so the world can't beat me up. Because the world is a cruel place. It can be a beautiful place if you allow it to be. Once your perspective changes, that's when miracles happen. What else I got to conquer so I can get to the next level? What else? There's always going to be giants at the gate. If it ain't rough, it ain't us. Let's go. Wow. So it ain't like, why me? It's like, why not me? Let's do it. The flowers don't chase the bees. The flowers just are. And the bees come.
So you cherish every minute of the game.
Right. And so you can hit your points before the fourth, so you don't have to worry about it, up or down.
That was crazy.
That's crazy.
Rest in peace, Coach Bauer. But man, remember the one game I was high?
Yeah.
It was Eaton Rapids. I had 41 after 3.
Yep.
And the school record was 46.
Yep. 13 threes. Wasn't it 13 threes?
No, it was 10.
10 threes?
Cole tied that. I don't have that record. Cole and I share that one. Pretty sure.
I remember. Yeah. He had some big games.
Mine was in 3 quarters, though.
So technically, by default, yours under minutes.
No. Cole had some big. Cole, I love playing with Cole. I wish I would have been fun if he reminded me a lot when we never got to play together like that, but he reminded me of Brandon a lot.
Right.
The way they played, they were like, and I love playing with Brandon, so I wish I could have.
Yeah.
I wish Cole and I were closer grades. We could have got to rock out a little bit more.
Like really, right? Instead of introduction. All right, so we're gonna start. I'm doing the numbers. Okay, let's go. We're gonna go 3, 2, 1. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have here Riley Lewis, and we're gonna start with the Riley Lewis show. And this guy is a top 10 all-time Michigan player for basketball all time.
Are you gonna have mate? Is he
not even talking guard, forward, or center? We're talking all-time high school basketball player in the state of Michigan. We got Riley Lewis.
That is not true. That is not true.
And when we're talking about all time, we're talking about the impact that he made to the culture of his area and how he possessed the skill level and ability from the size standpoint. So if we're talking at the size, 5'8", 129, 35 pounds, doing the things that he did, becoming an all-time leading scorer, all-time leading assists, all-time leading steals, all-time leading three-pointers, all-time leading three-pointers made, all-time leading. What else you got? Took his team to the Breslin Center, lost to a really good, what was that? Detroit. What was that Detroit team? Henry Ford. Really good Detroit Henry Ford team. But he took his team to Breslin, accomplished one of his goals, averaged 30 points a game, senior year, accomplished one of his goals. Destroyed a Godwin Heights team that came in all hype after winning the state championship. Destroyed them. I bear witness to that. On the road, he also took down River Rouge, number 2 team in the state at the time. Godwin Heights, number 1 team in the state at the time. Won the district.
Catholic was number 3.
Won a regional. Beat Catholic. And how I met Riley is I just started training a guy named Tony Pojam, and then Riley was the team that they were playing, so it's not that far from my house. I go down and see it, and one of our buddies, mutual friends, guy named Nick Dietrich, the worst basketball player I've ever seen in my life, who took his team to, I think, 0-12 when they're in 8th grade.
0-7.
0-7.
Legend has it, it's 0-7. My dad was his coach. And then the next year they went undefeated.
Undefeated after
Nick will blame it on coaching, but
after Nick left, Mr. Lewis went undefeated, and that was the only losing season Mr. Lewis, Coach Lewis, God bless his soul,
That's
retired
probably
after the
fact.
state championship.
Probably.
The only losing season he had was as Nick Dietrich was his point guard. So we just gonna leave it at that. Nick was our good friend, still good friend of both of our families, and that's how I met Riley. Then I was like, you know what, this kid got some skills, but he's weak, he's soft, and he don't shoot. So we're gonna have to change that if he wants to train with me. And
This was
they set it up. It was right after
this was
Riley's
2000.
sophomore.
This was 2000.
15?
Winter of 2013.
Was it 13?
Yeah, because
No.
13 was that winter.
When'd you graduate high
maybe
school?
14. 14 was I was a sophomore.
It was 14.
I was a sophomore and 14.
Yeah.
I was a sophomore.
It was spring.
And 14. Yep.
So now that's how I met Riley Lewis. Now, that's the first time I ever saw you. Now you explain to everybody. First off, how when you met me. Second, what are you doing now? Third, if you could take something back from college days and from high school days, what would it be? And then we go from there. So, who are you?
Well, first of all, how I met you was my dad. I guess you and my dad had got lunch. So you've been calling him like, I need to train this kid. Is that what happened?
Yes. Yep.
All right. And then my dad was like, all right, I'm going to take you to train with one of Nick's buddies.
Well, first,
like
no. Oh, I found out who you were training with, and I was like, yo, Mr. Lewis, if you want him to go to the next level and get some dog in him, you can't train him like he's a puppy. You got to train him like he's a dog. And I think that's what sealed Mr. Lewis' deal. I had my two little monsters with me at Applebee's. And I think that's what, like, the light flicked on with Mr. Lewis. Because I think you guys were training with a family friend or something. And then he was like...
no shade, man. We were training. I love that dude to this day. Good dude, good. I mean, it was just we were... It was more focused training than what we were doing. What you had in mind was more focused and mental and, looking back. But,
right.
Yeah, so then we go to... my dad takes me to... You were at Court 1 at the time.
Yep.
Bouncing between the two. Which was it? East? Was East the one in Okemos?
East the one we went to.
In Okemos.
Right.
Yeah. So we get to. Yeah. So I just finished my sophomore year of hoops. So this is March, April, and it was May, because I just turned 16, April 30th. I just got my license.
I want to say this was the Monday after that your last game.
Okay, well then I maybe not deny my license yet, but I know I got it right when we started.
Right.
Because that was the first place I could drive to was to train with you.
Right. Right. Your dad brought you and Kinsey.
He brought Kenzie and I remember we got to the lobby waiting area, and I have no idea what you're gonna look like. I don't know who you are, whatever. I just know your name's Abdullah. And this is 10 years ago, and
yeah.
I remember. I see, if you know Court 1, you're at the desk right there.
Yep.
And you look to your right, and you can see into the weight room. There's that door, and you can see all the way into the weight room.
Yep.
And I see this dude with this headband on,
Great.
and this huge afro sprinting at me, like full speed sprinting at me. And I'm like, I look at my dad. I'm like, Dad, and I'm like, is this him? And you were like, all right, over here, come on. And I'm like, jeez. We walk in, and Abdullah had stacked up.
Yep.
You know how you jump on like a platform, but at Court 1, all they had was like the Lego one. So you had to stack up each side and then put the platform on the top. So it wasn't stable at all, right? It's not stable. It's wiggly. Like you have to land perfectly on it.
Yep.
And it was up to here on me. It was literally my chin.
Yeah.
And first thing you say, you ran, you got me over there, and you look at me and you go, jump on it. Yep. And I was like, what? I was like, I'm not doing that. I can't jump on this. And I swear, you pushed me to the side, and you're like, stop being a baby. And you jump on it.
Yep.
Clean.
Yep.
Clean. So then you go, jump on it. So I kind of take, when you're scared, you take like a half jump and then like cancel out in the middle.
Yep.
Give up. And you were like, you want me to do it again? So you jump on it.
Yep.
To this day, he says this happened on purpose. This was not on purpose.
That's not true. No, what did I say?
Do this on purpose,
what did I
bro.
say? Wait,
No.
stop. What did I say before I jumped? I said the worst thing you can do, Riley, is land, the worst thing you can do is fall. That's exactly what I said. I was like, the worst thing you can do is fall. Now, tell the story.
To this day, he swears this was on purpose. I was standing right there.
So wait. The first time when I jumped on it, was it easy? I just jumped right on top. Yes or no?
It was.
Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes, it was easy.
Did I jump on the top and land it easily?
Let me finish.
Yes or no?
So he jumps up there and busts it. Falls straight back on his back. Like, I think he's dead.
Yep.
All the stuff goes flying everywhere. The blocks, the platform. And everyone's looking at us. And I'm like, what? Where am I? Who is this dude? And so we start the workout. And I remember my sister was with me. So she was in, if I'm a sophomore, she was probably going into...
She's going into 8th grade.
No. No, she was an 8th grader when I was a senior. So
no, she was going into 6th grade. Sorry. She was going into 6th grade.
He was in 6th, and I was a sophomore. Right? Yeah. We're 4 grades apart.
No, she was in 6th grade then.
Yes, and I was a sophomore.
Right.
And we start the workout, and he doesn't... My sister and I are very close, always have been. And he doesn't have us, like, near each other. We're doing all this stuff. A lot of it's a blur, but I remember after, like, 25 minutes, I'm as tired as I've ever been in my entire life. Ever. Can't feel my arms, can't feel my legs. And he comes over, and he's like, all right. Gets my sister and I together. He's like, you guys get some water real quick. We go get some water. And he's like, all right, that was the warm-up. What? And we went on for another hour. And at the end, I remember you made me shoot free throws, and I couldn't even get the ball halfway there. Like, my arms, we went to exhaustion. Like, my whole body had never worked out like that before.
Right.
And I remember we got in the car, and I looked at my dad. And the whole time I'm contemplating, I'm in the front seat.
No. You forgot a key part. Remember your mom pulled up midway through?
Yeah, you're right.
You guys just finished, like, you had, like, maybe 5 or so minutes left of the warm-up. And she pulled up, and then she thought the workout was over with. Okay? And she was kind of in, like, tears because Kenzie was struggling through the workout, and I was whooping on you. You know, you had the little like, thin face, and you were, like, super red, you know? And, like, your mom, remember? Your mom was, like, tearing up. And then I was like, okay, Miss, and I walked over and I talked to him. I was like, all right, Miss Lewis, we just finished the warm-up. And your mom was like, the warm-up? And I was like, yeah, we're going to start the workout now. It's going to be 3 20-minute sections. No, I was like 3 30-minute sessions, predicting, because we started, remember, with plate push. I don't know if you remember. We started with plate push, but it was towel push down back in the gym. They come back, squat. It was squat, step up, quick feet, shuffle, and then in the band. This is the work, and then band resistant high knee drive. This is I don't know if you remember. That's the first time. And then it was like, that was one round, and you had to do 4 of those rounds in 20 minutes. And then it was towel push down back 5 times, down back with the towel, come back, squat, deadlift, step up, high knee through the step up. And then was quick feet against the band, and then it was sprint to the band down. Yep, remember you sprinted down to the end, and then you stepped out into the basketball court, and then pushed towel down and back. And then you did that 5 more towel down back, and your mom was watching after the first run, and your dad was like, hey, D, how many do those guys have for that? I was like, they just finished one. They got 3 more rounds. I look at your mom, and he's like, and then all of a sudden I just see him kind of like patting her on the back and like getting her out of there. And then I looked at him. He's like, yeah, she couldn't watch that D no more. And then
I remember he said to her, he was like,
yeah,
honey, you don't want to watch this.
Yeah, and sent her home. And then we finished. And then I remember
I got in the car, and I looked at my dad, and it was the weirdest. This is probably a light bulb moment for me if I look back at it. I got in the car, and I was like, I don't even know if I want to play basketball anymore, Dad. He was like, what? I was like, if I have to work that hard, I don't even. And I was just like in disbelief. And then I remember we drove probably 5-7 minutes, and it clicked, and I was like, well, nobody else is doing that.
Yep.
I didn't have to use my brain. All I had to do was show up and just do what Abdullah said.
Right.
I was like, you know what? I was like, Dad, take me to the gym. So we went to the gym, and I shot on the gun for like another hour. Could barely get over the net.
Right.
So tired, could barely. But that was the day. I was like, all right. I was on the edge, like teetering. I was like almost. I took it and ran with it.
Right.
But that was when we met, and then we spent. That's spring of 14. We spent hours and hours a day, every day together till I graduated high school.
Yep.
In 16.
You remember? I remember at the end when I was talking to you guys. Remember what your sister said to me? You remember? She goes, well, if you can get me to D1, then I'll let you train me. But if you can't get me to D1, then I'm going to probably fire you. Remember she said that to me?
Yeah.
Now you remember. Yeah. I was like, what?
Kenzie's different.
I was like, this kid just basically gave me an ultimatum. The first time I've ever gotten an ultimatum. And then obviously a few years later, my daughters gave me an ultimatum. But it was just crazy. I was like, what?
And I was terrified of you. Like the first 4 workouts, I didn't say a word to you. We didn't talk. We didn't have any. I just did what I was doing. I was terrified. And the first time we talked, what?
But we didn't talk, I don't think, until we didn't talk until like your third round of sessions because you couldn't. You're breathing too much, and I was teaching you how to breathe through training adversity because it was so much we had to do. Most of your training was resistance and explosive and plyos, and and then you remember you were squatting, dude. You're squatting 380, 360, 340. Yeah, you were. I got pictures. Bet me money. I put up videos.
But I don't think it was that. That's a lot of weight.
Riley, do the math. You had 3 45-pound plates on each side, a 25-pound plate, a 5, and a 2.5. How much money is that? How much weight is that? With a 45-pound bar. Well, 135. 130.
That's beside the point.
But what I'm saying, you only weighed 150 pounds max ever. And that being able to be that strong at that thin and able to run that much, that speed is what kicked into you being able to compete with these bigger, stronger, faster, quicker, more athletic dudes. You feel me?
But
you didn't walk in that big and strong.
We didn't talk till the 4th workout. Because I remember after the workout, now I could drive, so I didn't have to wait. We had to wait for my dad. After the workout, I remember, I was like, I got to figure out something to say to this guy. Like, I got to
talking. Yeah, you're being during the workout. I'm saying, we really started communicating was not until probably workout 50 is what I'm saying. You were just getting in and out.
Yeah, it's just normal talking.
Yeah.
But we went in the steam room after.
Right.
We were at East. We went in the steam room after. We were like, we got to hit the steam room. And so we sat in there, and this is the first time we had a real conversation.
Yeah.
And I remember I asked something about Nick. That was our mutual friend. I was trying to start some type of conversation. And we start talking, and we sat in there, and we're in the steam room. We've been in there for 20 minutes, haven't said a word again. And I remember you looked at me. You're like, you really can't score 5 points a quarter? And I looked at you. I was like, "What?"
Yeah,
like, you can't score 5 points in a quarter. You are sorry. I was like, "What?" You're like, "What'd you average last year?" My sophomore year was like 11, 12, I think. And
no, it was 7.2. You averaged 7 points a game as a sophomore. That was
my freshman year.
Well, I said last year. Yeah, it was last year. I was like, "How many points did you average last year?" And you were like 7. I was like, you can't score that a quarter? And then I broke it down for you. Go ahead.
You said the 5 points a quarter, and I looked at you, and you're like, that's a 3 and a 2.
Yeah.
And then from that point on, we always trained. That changed the way I thought about it. But then the next year, the goal was, what was the goal?
7.2.
6
Nope.
6 points.
Nope. 7.25. 7.25 a quarter. Because then that gives you 15 and a half.
Yeah, and then we bumped it up to 8 my senior year.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
we started
Well,
talking. And
we
then
bumped it up
that
to
summer we
8.
spent every day together.
Remember, we bumped it up to 8 your senior year because we wanted to get 30 in 3.
Yeah.
You know, because
Maybe.
I don't even know why we had it in our mind that we were going to blow everyone out before the fourth quarter happened. It was no merit to that. You lost in the district till
Our league wasn't. I mean,
but you Riley, you lost in the district to Hazlitt. Your junior year.
year.
Yeah.
Our sophomore year, we lost to Catholic in the district
Right.
final.
So you never went past district, and our only goal. Remember, I want to give a big shout out to our sponsor, Stephanie Lenard, skincare consultant, been in the local area for over 20 years, helping people out. I want to thank her. She's been with us from day one. And as we move into his next segment, Riley's talking about how he broke down his goals into small, tangible goals that was easily attainable and easily able to be seen.
Yeah, when you broke it down, and then we wrote it on the whiteboard. But okay, and I don't want to. You trained a long time, all right. I met you when you were at Court One, and Tony Palmer. Remember, he would come in there and work out. That's like was his home gym, and then me and him started hanging out, so he started working out too.
Right.
Me and Tony talk about this. You trained for a long time. You got very big. You had lots of clients. At this time, there is no, I don't care when you trained with Abdullah, and I'm stamping this, there is no harder workout. You never had to go through a Court One East or West workout. Those were completely different.
You think those are hard?
Completely different. Because I trained in both eras, all of it. There was nothing like that because you had all the facility. You'd make us swim. You'd make us.
Yeah.
You had. I mean, the court was right there.
Yeah.
But those workouts, we started I mean, you would go and you would just know it was. I appreciate you for that though. We could almost like turn our brain off and just be like, all right, I just have to not listen to how tired I am and just do this for however long I need to do it for, and then it'll be like it'll get over with. But like you had to be like that because of how difficult it was to even just get through the workout.
Right.
I mean, those were. Would you say that those were some of the craziest workouts?
Well, I had access to the most. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And that was like what my gym became at the end. That gym on Saginaw. Once it was completely finished with the turf and all of the, both rooms, it just had access to ability to do everything, you know what I mean? And the compact, so there was no time for BS, and, sometimes we would go to the steam room for 30 minutes straight, sometimes first, and use that as a warm up, and then get into hood sweatshirts and sweatpants and then go and work out. And we're already distressed, you know what I'm saying? So and then, it also gives you the court where we can do all the plyos there and all of the the towel stuff, which is towel plyos because your feet is driving and pouncing and pogoing. So, but yeah, it just gave. Those were very
workouts. Difficult. Those were crazy. I mean, we had crazy ones everywhere. You trained when you were at the doctor's office. Where was that?
Right next to Court One. Yeah, but then remember we would go to the hills. We'd go to the stairs.
Oh, in DeWitt. Was that DeWitt?
Yeah.
Yeah. That hill was, that was a monster.
So we would sprint that. It's like, people don't understand. We would hit that hill 30 times, man, in like just 10 minutes. And like hitting it now for 15 times in 10 minutes with people was like difficult. And this is after we would work out. Like it was.
And we would wear the weight vest.
Yeah.
And not like the weight vest you see people wear. This was a bulletproof SWAT vest.
Yeah.
I remember you put that on whoever at the gym for a long time. Now that vest was there, but no, that we had some. Yeah, that's how we met. And then we that summer between my sophomore and junior year was where I would drive to either Court One at 10 in the morning and leave at 3 p.m.
So I got a question.
We'd work out, but
so Riley, if you take into consideration everything, what changed between Riley Lewis freshman year and senior in high school? And now, did that change help lead you to the person that you become now? Go ahead.
Second part of the question, certainly. But what changed was, I remember after my sophomore year, I had a moment where I was like, all right, I'm going to be playing against kids my own age again for the first time in a couple years, right? When I'm a freshman and sophomore, no one really, a few guys up, but I'm going to play against kids my own age again. So I'm not just the young kid. So when I do a little bit, like, it's not, now I need to like dominate or step into what mark I'm going to leave.
Right.
And what changed was obviously how I worked, but the mindset was, and it was, I tell people all the time, it was, when I met you, it was mutually beneficial for both of us, but the way that we worked and the way that we prepared and the way that it was complete 180 from you play a game and you think you could be this good and you think, you just follow ceilings from people you've seen before, right?
Right.
And then we found a way to break through those and like chase, start chasing the all-time scoring record, start chasing these other things. And you put it on as a goal, but then you work every day and prepare for it and do it. And you held me accountable, a lot.
Yeah.
But I'd say,
another thing we focused on when you could be the most successful as well. And we wanted it to be those last 2 minutes. I remember we talked about this a lot. Those last 2 minutes of each quarter, each half, and each game is when I wanted you to be the most explosive, the most direct, the most intentional. And I think that like showed where now you can, okay, well, I got all these other things I can accomplish in this first 6-minute segment, and I can rip and run around and help get these guys tired to lead to my ultimate time being able to be successful those last 2 minutes. Because I would see you sometimes score like, 10 points in the last 2 minutes, and we're back on schedule. You know what I mean?
Well, between, like you said, when you think of the game a different way, you get a better respect for it. I earned a better respect. That's one of the main things I'd say is for those 32 minutes, when you train every single day like we trained, and this is just when I'm training with you, I'm going to the gym after, getting 1,000 shots up. But when you train like that, every minute, you're training for that next season.
Right.
But you only get 21 games guaranteed, right? 20 in the regular season and 1 in the playoffs.
Right.
And you appreciate every second so much more because you put all this work in. Now this is the only platform you have to show it. Right. You only get 4 8-minute quarters on Tuesday and Friday to show every single thing that you've been working on, that you've done, that you're trying to write your own story.
Right.
And thinking of it like that versus, you go into the game, this is going to I'll have a good game here. It's way different. You're mentally coming into it with a plan, with a purpose. And then that was my junior year. But then when we got to senior year, it was totally different. I mean, That was another big jump. That was the biggest jump, I think, was junior to senior year. But and it definitely leads to who you are. My favorite part was obviously the relationship, like a big brother, always. But so much mutual respect. You always gave me respect too.
Right.
But, I listened to you and you were the right type of heart on me. I mean, we used to go at it. Keaton Hall, my boy, still talks about that day when you walked into Williamston and him and I were up on the track and my dad had called you because I was home alone that week because they were with Kenzie and AAU. Mm-hmm. And, I was doing what I was usually doing, finding some distractions off the court, fill in the blanks. But I remember you came in and just that day, Keaton got caught in the crossfire there because you came in screaming at me, Riley, in the middle of the lobby of the high school, Riley Lewis, you think you could do whatever you want? You know what? Get down here. This is before junior year. And then remember we went out and that was the day that we did the tire flips in the grass for like an hour. And then we went to Yeah, but just those,
Right.
you taught me how to act as well off the court and work. I mean, yeah, changed completely.
All right. So now, who is Riley Lewis today? What does Riley Lewis do on a day-to-day basis today? And what is Riley Lewis leading into for the future?
Well, I'm a financial advisor. Holistic financial planning is what I do. So,
Wait, Riley, I'm sorry. Say that again.
Holistic financial planning.
Okay.
So, what that entails is, people think financial advisor, you think invest a bunch of money in the market. I mean, this is, strategic planning for tax planning, retirement planning, income planning in retirement, building up tax-free wealth, ton of different ways. People have advisors, but I'm very blessed to have, a lot of guys around me that are older and have been doing this and very successful. They've taught me, helped my learning curve a lot. But yeah, I mean, just finished my 3rd year. Love it. Love helping people. Love getting to meet with people, one-on-one. And I mean, it's the best job. But I mean, today I no different. I mean, there's nothing really different about me. Still feel like the same kid when I met you.
Well, we all are still the same kid.
Just a few different things around the way.
We are the same kids. So now, next question is, who is this podcast for? Like, who do you want to make this out for? To who? What type of what story you want to tell inside the podcast?
Well, I think one, our story. For starters, I mean, we have you and I scratched the surface a little bit, but we have a hell of a story. And then, I mean, it's for anybody. We'll joke around, we'll laugh, we'll talk about normal stuff, things going on now. We'll talk about old sports. If you're a sports fan in whatever eras, that'll be fun. 2 guys, just our opinions, but young athletes that need to learn, how the standards set and things that, how I always got so much from people above me. I mean, docs and, guys that did what I was doing before me. I mean, that's who you need to learn from,
Right.
I mean, when you talk about whether it's sports, whether it's job now, whatever, I mean, people have done what you're doing before. Why not get as much knowledge as you can from them? So, anybody, I mean, anybody.
Okay, now I got a next question. As a young Riley Lewis, who did you look up to as a player? As like local player?
Chris Harrison Docs.
CHD.
Yeah, listen.
Local legend.
And I didn't, at the time, I didn't know him on a person. He's one of my best friends in the world now.
Yeah.
Big brother to me. But at the time, I didn't even know him. He transferred here, transferred to Okemos. And I remember my dad used to take me always. One of the greatest things my dad ever did for my basketball game was every year since I can remember, he took me. We didn't just go to, I mean, when I was young, my cousin Nate Turner was, we're 10 years apart. So 1st grade, 2nd grade, he was in junior and senior year. So I went to every Hazlitt game, right? I watched them make runs. I watched him go take his team to the Breslin when he was a junior, and get beat. And I remember, I watched those games. But then after that, so 3rd grade on, my dad would just take me to the best games, the best guys, the best, every time he'd let me go. We went to Breslin every single year
say
this? For the semis.
Turner's a legend as well.
Oh my gosh!
Legendary athlete.
Football, basketball, track.
Legendary.
That's my
competitor
blood,
though. Competitive spirit.
I could talk for an hour about Nate.
Legend.
Oh my God.
Legend.
And on a football field, crazy as well.
Legend, bro.
I got to grow up watching him. He was a big brother to me. I mean, I was lucky. If we're going all the way back, Nate Turner's the first one who impacted. I'd see him signing autographs after the game on the football field. I'd see him. People. Nate had the aura, the show. People. I mean, people loved Nate, and I was I'm a kid, and I'm like, I want that. You know, I want people to. I mean, I remember he had a punt return against Williamston where he reverse fields like 10 times, scored. I mean, it was a highlight tape. I remember Nate had a huge aura around him, and that was the first one. But then Docs, I remember when I got into – Docs was a senior when I was in 8th grade, so we were never in high school together.
Right.
But when I was in 6th grade, he was a sophomore. 7th grade, he was a junior. 8th grade, he was a senior. I went to most of Docs' games with my dad every Tuesday and Friday, wherever he was at. And my dad told me he knew early on. My dad said, if you want to be good, really good, and be, you know, a white hooper, you need to hoop like this.
Like this.
You need to hoop like this guy.
Yes.
Like this. And, I mean, Docs was, oh, my gosh.
Isaiah Thomas.
Unreal.
He was modern day Isaiah.
He would go in and talk. He would go in and talk so much, you know,
reckless.
Before the game, in
reckless.
layup lines, during the game.
Reckless.
And that
reckless,
that
dog.
really resonated with
the aura of extreme confidence. Doc's
yeah, he's killing you, but he's letting you know he's going to keep killing you.
Top 10 all-time basketball player in Michigan, Doc's as well.
Oh, easy.
All time.
Easy.
When I mean all time, I mean the ever lace it. And I'm only talking 2000 to now.
Yeah. And Doc's.
Yeah.
I mean,
last 25 years.
But yeah, he was.
Wait. We're gonna put a list. That's what we're gonna do on this. When I edit this, we're gonna put a list up, and it'll be right here of the top 10 all-time basketball players to ever lace it in the last 25 years. I don't care what they say.
We need to be more focused.
No, I'm not. No,
listen, let's go.
I.
Let's go top 10 maybe. You know, even when you get into.
We're gonna say top 10 guards all time in the last 25 years.
Not all time in the last 25 years? All time means all time, so we take all time out of it.
No, all time meaning point guard, shooting guard, or combo guard in the last 25 years. All kind. Yeah. Oh, you think I'm saying? My bad, Ebonics. All kind, not all time. All kind.
Okay.
All kind. Top 10 guard. There you go. There you go, Lil Lewis. I'm gonna call you Lil Lewis. Top 10 all kind guard in the last 25 years. Easily. I put your resume.
Doesn't roll off the tongue very well. We'll work on the name.
Doesn't even matter. But you that, all right? And Docs is that as well.
I don't know about that, but Docs for sure.
Docs for sure.
You know, he was a big one that I looked up to.
That was so sweet. I still remember that last second step back three. Woo. Dribbling for what? It seemed like 30 minutes at the top of the key with the step back three. Who face was that in? I think that was against.
That was at Catholic.
Remember that?
That was at Catholic, and then he got on the scores table. he was so. I mean, all the Docs. He was so. Fuck, he was crazy, dude. But
bro,
I remember
he was different. He was different.
One thing I learned from. Major thing I learned from Doc.
Shout out the Docs, man. All time, top 10 all time. I'm taking him over all those guys in his era.
I remember watching him at the Don Johnson Fieldhouse when it was his last game. It was the quarterfinals, and he was playing Rockford. He was playing Rockford, and I went on to play for a year. I hope the guard, Chad Carlson, that was at Rockford, little lefty. But Docs, I remember the gym was packed. And we had to get there early. And I'm taking notes. I'm like, I want my games to be like this, which is crazy, like going. But I remember most of the gym hated Docs. That gym's packed. Yeah. Most of the gym hated Docs, hating on him. Yeah. But it didn't matter because they were all checking for him. So all the eyes were on him, no matter where he went. The other student sections chanting all this type of stuff at him. People were booing him. It did not matter. Because I don't know if it phased. I mean, we've had conversations about this now, but he was, he was playing his same game, talking his same shit. He was unreal. He hit them for some crazy number that night.
And it didn't matter who he was playing against.
Oh, and I learned
He
that.
be
I
playing
learned
against
that.
Cha
Listen,
Cha and them, all that Eastern. Didn't
yeah,
matter. All them cats at
it doesn't
Sexton,
matter.
buckets. Didn't matter.
It doesn't
Jackson,
matter if they hate
buckets.
you. It doesn't
Hope,
matter if they hate you.
buckets. Detroit schools, buckets. Grand Rapids schools, buckets. Didn't matter, dude.
Facts.
I remember meeting his dad too, man. Cool cat, Lil Mason, good peoples, the mama docs.
Yeah, so
Always
you could blame a lot of people out there can blame Docs for the way that I went about business for a little bit. Was I just learned that listen, if you
the white boy
can like
boom.
me, you can hate me. It doesn't matter, but I'm gonna talk the way I want to talk. I'm gonna play the way I want to play. I'm going to, the more you yell at me and hate on me, that just fuels me.
Right.
You're helping me.
Right.
And that's the way Docs did it too.
Right.
But I learned a lot of that from him. I mean, in those gyms, the hostile environments, man. We both played some hostile.
But both of y'all put in the work, Lewis. Both of y'all put in the work to have that confidence to be able to play like that, though. Both of y'all put in the work, man. Both of y'all put in the work to be able to go out there and know that you got the ability to play against these dudes. That's more athletic, bigger, stronger, faster, quicker, jump higher. You put in the work to level up that playing field that gave it a super duper confidence. He had the same thing, man. Mr. Doc was pushing and driving him. You feel me? He accomplished that with the skill that gave him the attitude that he had, and he was one of the most confident kids through adversity I've ever seen play in my life.
And confidence scares people.
Ever.
Confidence scares people. It makes people feel uncomfortable on that level. I watch people,
Right.
even the own parents in the gym on Doc's teams. I mean, I would sit. My dad would take me to sit different places. He'd be like, "All right, first half we'll go sit on their side, see what they're saying about Docs."
Right.
Then we go to the other side, and when they're playing good schools,
Right.
The other side would be, "Man, this kid's unbelievable." And you go to the Okemos side, and they'd be like, "I can't stand." And then I'm just like, "What? This is guys on your team, and I got a lot of the same stuff."
Envy.
But but Docs.
Yeah, I remember you had me almost square up with Adelnut, whatever his name is. I ain't gonna say his name. I'm just gonna call him Adelnut. But I almost had to square up with the dude, and then that's when I started sitting right behind you. I used to sit across the court. Yeah. Then I had to stop sitting there because it is what it is. But no, man.
Hey, it was all
noise. Who was the AD at your school during your era?
Mr. Hampton. Cool dude.
Cool OG. You're right. Shout out to Tom. Shout out
Tom.
Shout out to Tom Hampton.
Missed that dude. Yeah, he was awesome. But I'd say Nate.
Wait. We got to shout out to Big Frankie. Frank the Tank, man.
Shout out to Frankie. Shout out to Frankie. He was like my little brother. I took him everywhere my senior year. That boy got to experience. He had a experience as a sophomore. Let me
listen. Stop it. Shout out to Frankie. Shout out to Frank the Tank. Shout out to Frank the Tank, one of the OGs. He's one of the original OG brothers that will always be family to me and Riley. Let's just say it like that, Riley. Stop it, Riley.
Frankie knows what I'm talking about.
Frank the Tank, shout out who else? We got to give another shout out to one of the homies, Palmer, one of the good dudes, man. Love Tony Palmer.
Engaged.
I know.
Palmer was in high school. I was with Palmer.
He's not going to be the same person. He's not the same person no more. Now we're gonna call him Anthony Palmer now. Because
he is much more.
Yeah, Anthony Palmer, Mr. Anthony Palmer, Mr. Anthony Palmer. We love you out there. You can only invite one of us, me or Riley, to your wedding. You can't invite us both. I can be by spirit and through social media or Zoom or whatever, or Riley. But I'd rather you invite Riley. He's younger, have much fun. Shout out to Tony. Original OG.
One of my best brothers.
Original OG.
It was so unique when we were there too, because he was him and Pojan were so good at football. And their junior year they went state.
Yeah.
Senior year they lost. I think semis maybe was it? It was super snowy. I remember that.
Yeah, Final Four. It's the same team. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, Palmer was electric on the field, and we'd hang out every Friday night, every Saturday night.
Original OG.
Those guys were all cool. All those Catholic guys were cool.
Let's give a shout out to all the homies from EL, because once you busted they tail, that made everybody not question the ability. Remember that at your junior year, you lit them up where they had to start face guarding you in boxing one, just to get the W. I never forget that. And I know they probably hate, but it doesn't matter.
We lost my senior year, but we 20-pieced them my junior year.
Yeah.
And now I just talked to yesterday. Shout out to one of my best friends in the whole world, Mikhail Miles. I was like, there is no reason we should have beat you guys by 20.
Yo,
they had him.
Shout out to Mikhail.
Ray Jones.
Shout out to Mikhail Miles, real estate agent, doing his thing. Big shout out to him. Good guy. You guys, someone that. Just a second.
What are you doing?
I had to get something. My wife keep trying to call me, man. I told her I'm online with Riley Lewis. Like, this is the show. Do you understand? Who are you trying to stop from recording?
Let's give a shout out.
No, stop. I'm trying to record the show. And I'm just kidding. Sorry, Kelly. Shout out. May. Shout out. They've been putting up with me all their life.
Exactly. Kelly is a saint. Kelly is awesome. I don't know how you do it.
Shout out to the fam. May. Mad Dog. Queen B. Mama Bear. They've been with us both throughout this whole thing. And the craziest part, they're telling me, they're like, Dad, we ain't going to no basketball games this year. They're like, why? They're like, because it's not like when Riley was in school. They're like, there's nothing like that, man. They're like that. They said it too. It's crazy. We used to get them. They're like, we used to go to games on Tuesday night, and it would be packed. You could barely get in. It's like if we didn't go with you, we wouldn't have been able to get in. And it's like, and then we'd go on Friday, and we had to get there from the JV game just to guarantee that we could sit. I was like, because then remember I used to get them to sit by your mom and grandparents and stuff. Like, you don't even remember that. This is the JV game. That's how packed.
Fridays it would have been girls' game because they played my senior year. They played before us,
right? And then, but remember they had to make
Fridays.
and that was the whole, because their game would be packed during the second half. This was crazy, man.
Yeah,
it was fun though.
And they were good too.
Yeah. And I remember, was that River Rouge? Where'd you shoot? It was River Rouge when you came down. You shot it from the 5-second count, where you shot the 3, and I remember we ran out on the court, and that's the first time when like someone took a picture of me running out on the court and like posted it, and it just blew up.
That was that was Catholic. That was in the districts at Fowlerville.
Yeah. I know.
And you did it again later, but that was fun.
That was crazy. All right, so you got to tell the people who we're bringing in on as a guest.
Well, we got to get Docs.
Docs?
Got to get Docs. We got to get Cha-Cha.
Cha-Cha. Cha-Cha's a legend.
We got to get we got to get Tony. Anthony. Anthony remembers a lot of those workouts too. I remember.
Where's Kermit at?
Who?
You guys used to call him Kermit. Your junior. The guy who dunked on your boy at Eastern and made him quit.
Kirby. Seth Kirby. Nobody called him Kermit but you. Don't say we. Nobody called him that except for you.
Doesn't matter.
Used to call him that. No, you did. I called him Seth.
He had bounce. Bro, why did he make my man quit at Eastern?
He left the game.
I've never seen that before. Checked himself
crazy
out.
Thing I've ever seen.
Went to the showers and bounced, like left the facility. You remember this?
I'll never Oh my gosh, do I? Because that same person who you're talking about was the person you made me play 1-on-1 at Court 1 months before the season.
Yep.
With ankle weights on.
Yes, and he said, remember what he said?
He was taller than me. He
Yes.
was more athletic than
Yep.
me. He was quick. He was
6'3".
stronger than me.
6'3".
At least 6'3", 6'4". And
bouncy.
I had ankle weights on, and I beat him.
Bouncy. And remember he was saying, wait until win. What was he saying? Wait until we
play. Wait until we play. Wait until we play.
And
yeah,
we
right.
got y'all at home.
At the
Yeah.
At the Dom. Because I threw Seth the alley-oop in the first half. Yep. And then, I was hitting him. And I played with, on that team, Z McCullough. He was on my AU team.
Yep.
He could hoop.
Yep.
Z could hoop. That's Ron Banks' kid.
Ron Banks' kid. Yep. Ron Banks.
Yep. And Z could hoop.
Ron Banks was a baller.
And I heard his dad could too.
Ron Banks was a baller.
Yeah, that game, I just remember going down and I was a fast breakout, a wide open layup. I just hear Seth yell behind me.
Yep.
He just yelled. All he yelled, as loud as could be, he just yelled the N-word, and I knew that meant throw it off the backboard.
Yep. and you remember,
I was on the left side, threw it up.
And remember, my man tried to go and block it though. You know,
he jumped up like for a rebound.
Yeah, but he tried to block your shot.
Yeah.
But then he realized it was not a shot. And like paused in the air, and then it's like it was crazy because he went up, and then he did this and like looked back, and it was too much. My man was like,
that was on him, and what
nuts
was crazy
to
was
the face.
There was a second and a half moment there where everyone in the gym was like, "What is Riley doing?" Because I was on the left side, I threw it off with my right hand hard.
All right.
They're like, "Did he just miss that layup that bad?" Because you couldn't really see Seth because the defender was right there. I mean, you couldn't tell the play was developing, but I knew Seth was coming. We did that in practice all the time. And I threw it off, and then I remember looking back up, and I was like, oh, my, he just dunked all over him.
And then, but my man, I don't think you remember, because he landed and his nuts was in his face, like for real, and like wrapped around. Bad. Yeah, and he was out. It was it. It was over. He was out.
You need to edit in the clip right here. That clip.
We got to find it. You got that clip?
I got it. I got it.
Send it. And then we just.
I got it. It's on YouTube, I think. Somebody put it on YouTube back then. I remember.
That's too much.
But no, then he left. He left the game in his uniform.
All right, so Riley. Shout out to Akil Milcher, loan originator for Success Group, one of the best human beings in the world. He'll take care of you. Look him up. Talk about the atmosphere walking into Godwin Heights your senior year.
That was a weird time. Coach just got diagnosed the week before, Mm-hmm. So it was almost like everything was surreal after that. And I was 17 years old trying to process way too much, because he had been with me the last 4 years, and then we were always talking about getting a run. I just wanted to win the district. I couldn't go out like that. My dad never won a district as a player.
Right.
He got beat by a DeWitt team that he had beaten twice. We'll have to have my pops on and some other guys talk about that era of basketball for sure. But my sister never won a district. Oh, my sister did win a district her freshman year, and a regional. Sorry. Yeah. But later on, I had lost. I didn't get to play my freshman year. Broke my neck. Sophomore year, we lost to Catholic. Junior year, we lost to Hazlitt. That one stung the worst. And then, Coach Bauer gets diagnosed. We find out after the Sexton game Wednesday. And we had to play Catholic Friday, beat Catholic. And then that Friday to Monday turnaround was super quick. And we know we've got Godwin. I mean, what they have, four of their starters went and played Division I or NA, something crazy like that. I mean, those guys they had Marquise Hastings, right?
Yep.
Monster. Mm-hmm. Lamar Norman, he was kind of the poster boy. He was unreal. Rodriguez, sorry, I played against him. Christian in college too, really good point guard.
Remember they had that other kid, number 1.
Leon, sorry, I'm tripping. Leon Red, who was the best defender I've faced my whole 4 years of high school. He went and played Division I at Bethune-Cookman, I think.
Bethune-Cookman.
But yeah, he was quicker than me.
Yeah, he was built like a running back.
And he was stronger than me, and he was so centered on his feet. He was tough.
Yeah,
got him fouled out though. That was big.
That was it. That was
the mindset was that weekend. I remember my dad taking us into a room, and it was all a blur. But Friday we win against Catholic, and then we go take the trophy to coach. He just had his brain surgery the day before, like in his head there's stitches from here all the way back, and we're taking the trophy. We're trying to celebrate, and it was just weird. But then we had a couple practices, and at that point our mantra became, we just want one more practice, right? One more practice. We got to earn another practice. So we knew if we win Monday, we practice Tuesday. But we knew Mondays. We knew we knew that they were, loaded. They had just won it the year before.
Mm-hmm.
And we came up with a plan. My dad came up with the plans. I think that's one of the best things my dad was as a coach, was getting a team to buy into a plan. And it was a 3-2 zone. We're gonna build a wall, keep guys on this side of the floor. But we were confident, and then I remember we got there, and I could tell my guys were a little nervous, right? We started a freshman and 2 sophomores.
Mm-hmm.
And this team had just played in the state championship the year before. They're looking at Williamston. They didn't give us 1 ounce of respect. We got there, and with, 60 minutes on the clock till the game, and they're shooting on both halves of the court. And we go up to the one half and come out there, and someone got out there before me, Frankie or Cole or somebody. And when I came out, they were like, they won't get off our half. I'm like, what? And so I went up to the coach. I was like, hey, we good to shoot on this half? Which half? And he was like, MHSA rules. You guys we don't have to share a half. You guys get the half at 20 minutes. We'll shoot on both. And that just pissed me off.
Who said that?
Their head coach.
Oh, yeah, the young dude.
And so now I'm pissed. And we warm up shooting with these guys. And I'm like, whatever. I could tell that shook some of my guys, and I vividly remember they're down there throwing it off the backboard, windmills. I mean, these guys were athletes, right? These guys were athletes, and they're down there dunking, laughing, warming up, having a good time. And when we went in that locker room for the last time before you run out for the 20 minutes, like your first run out, where, everyone's there, that's like where you go into layup lines.
Uh-huh.
I just started screaming, cussing in the locker room. Like, these guys are not, they're playing. We were out there. All of them had their state championship rings tied in their shoelaces from the year before. Like, just trying to punk us. And I remember yelling and just saying, these guys aren't all that. Like, I've seen guys like this. Like, they're trying to punk us, see them dunking. They're trying to scare us. Like, and then next thing you know, we get down 14 in the first quarter, pressing us. Mm-hmm. And then we fight back a little bit, and then we get down 14 again in the second half. And, but when it got down to the end of the game, I mean, Sean Cobb had a great game that game. That was probably, I think, the best he played that whole year.
Ever.
Yeah. And
I think that was his best game ever.
Cole talks about it. Love you, Cole. But he hated that game because I had to save some type of energy, and when they started man pressing, he had to bring it up. I think Cole had like 9 turnovers that game.
Yeah,
struggling a little bit, but it was soft. It was all right. And then, I mean, down the stretch, we got it done now. But it was just preparing wise. It was just a weird time. I mean, coach wasn't there. My dad's coaching now. I had a routine with him. Right. He's been my coach for 4 years. I mean, that's 80-some games, and then we were just trying to earn another practice. And then we knew we had Stockbridge or Portland next, so we knew we were going to win that game.
Right.
And, that was it. The plan, though, my dad put together a plan, the 3-2 zone that, I mean, you couldn't stop them, but give us enough opportunities to
limit their opportunities,
not let them get easy buckets,
limit
and then
their
down
shots.
The stretch, down the stretch, I knew if we got in the bonus in the second half, they weren't going to be able to play me the same way because I'll draw a foul.
Right.
You can't, if you come out there like that, and that's how Leon got fouled out.
Right.
But yeah, then we went into overtime.
Mm-hmm.
Overtime, some
once y'all went in overtime, it was over with. Remember the big shot you made to get to overtime? It was over with because they wanted to win the game before it started. Once you got to overtime,
they had the last shot too.
Yeah,
and
they had no answer for you.
What?
They had no answer for you. Those last 3 minutes of the fourth in overtime, had 0 answers. Leon was sitting on the bench.
It was everything. I mean, that was like the peak of. I wanted that so bad. You just want, if you're a competitor, and like you don't get scared. Like I wanted that so bad since I was a little kid to play in a game like that. I've been to those games where you just want down the stretch. I've watched guys perform in those times. You just want the chance to do it. You want to hope you get to play in a game that's meaningful enough against a good enough team that you get a chance to prove that you belong. Right. And I mean, that was what it was. I knew down the stretch, I knew I was gonna make my free throws. I knew I could get to the hoop, kind of, because they were scared to foul. So I knew Hastings was just gonna jump straight up.
Right.
So if you jump straight up, I could finish.
Right.
And that was a crazy game.
That was crazy. And then now, what about the River Rouge game?
Yeah, that was crazy.
The atmosphere at the River Rouge game. Talk about it.
Well, I had been to, like I said, my dad always took me to these games, especially in March in the tournament. I always went to the Breslin. He'd let me skip school and go watch Class A teams play in the semis. And but the quarterfinal games were always my favorite because the quarterfinals it's not a trophy game. Right. It's win to get to the Breslin. Right. And that was where you felt like the most people were at the game because you're usually at a school and everybody from both towns come. Right. Right? So it didn't matter where it was. It's the quarterfinal to go to Breslin. Everyone's going to be there.
Right. And it's 4 teams. Remember? It's
exactly.
4 teams. Right. All packed in.
No, at that point, there's 8 teams. That's 8 teams in each class.
No, I'm saying for
left.
Right. But I'm saying all those schools are coming in during that block. God damn. Hey, just 1 second, Riley. What the fuck? What do you need? Hold up, bro.
You good?
We're back live, Mr. Riley Lewis. Daughter number 3, just so you know. Just tell you, when you start having those kids, huh? It's a little bit the meanest. Exactly. we love you, Mad Dog.
We love you.
We I didn't say meanest one. He said it.
I did say, but she knows I love it.
Nah, man. No, that was that era of basketball. That era of time was completely different. I think personally. I think now also. I think the kids now, which is crazy. I don't think they are driven as much, work as hard, or as focused. I think it's too many distractions.
I think that when you were asking about the atmosphere of those games,
right.
Like when we go to those quarterfinal games with my dad, like I was saying, I'd love the they're always packed, always so much emotion in a gym. And when we got to that, River Rouge game, that was when the first time ever we pulled into the parking lot on the bus, and there was already people lined up to get in. Right? Like that had never happened ever. We see this.
Right.
It was at Charlotte at the Dome.
Right. Yep.
And we pull in and see people lined up to get in.
Yeah.
What?
Packed.
And
yeah,
packed. Couldn't find a seat anywhere. And that was. I think that we were that year. That was on the tail end of the era of like.
That was a Tuesday, Riley.
That was a Tuesday.
Yeah, that was a Tuesday.
The tail end of an era, like Doc's era, Cha-Cha, those guys. That basketball was, crazy. And the era, like going back to 2000s with Nate, those games were like that. I feel like we were on the tail end of where it was just a different kind of it was a different kind of feeling at games, around games. I can't really put your finger on it, but it was just different.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, because I remember going and watching my cousin Nate play. I think it was the quarterfinals, and he played Frankenmuth when they had Brad Redford. Do you remember Brad Redford?
Mm-hmm.
My dad used to take me to watch him a little bit too, but we couldn't go a lot because Nate and him play on the same nights. But he went and played at Xavier,
mm-hmm.
and he was the first person I saw shoot from inside the circle.
Right.
Right.
Half
right over half court.
Right.
Pulling it. And
with normal shooting range and motion, everything was normal.
Because when you can shoot like that, like I got to the point where if the ball's right here, it feels the same. I mean, you got to shoot hard, but you can.
Yeah.
If I'm up here, it's a jump shot, but I can bring that same thing down here and get way more power, and it feels the same.
Right.
He was same shooting mechanics.
Yep.
He was tough, but
most
games were just.
Remember, most of his shots didn't even hit the rim. It was just.
He was
it was good. He's at a different level. But I thought his footwork was good though, Riley. His ability to be ready on the catch and release, to pull up and I think that's what I just don't think kids work on that, man. I don't think that's what I'm saying. Like you say in shooting on a gun, I think I see some kids shooting on a gun, but then I see like the real ones shooting on a gun. Those guys are taking still from the gun, game ready shots.
It has to be game speed. That's all we used to
ready
preach.
shots.
Game speed.
Game speed.
If you do it right, like I don't.
Game
speed. It drives me crazy. It drives me crazy.
Game speed.
When people think a workout, kids think a workout is going to the gym, getting on the gun, and getting a bunch of shots up.
Yeah.
You're just catch and shoot. Abdullah, how many? I know it's a little different because of the way I got defended. My senior year, a lot of boxing ones and double teams. But when did I ever get a catch and shoot three? Once.
Never. I was talking to another kid. It was catch, fade away, catch, fade back, catch, fade to the right. And that's what people, and they were like, yeah, my coach would like kill me. I'm like, what? I'm like, you think you're shooting wide open shots? It doesn't happen. Not when you're on these teams where you're the only good player. Like you're getting guarded by the best athlete. It is what it is.
But yeah, I mean, it's different. You gotta shoot at game speed. You have to dribble at game speed. Right. You can't go. Yes, I did a lot of stationary ball handling. That's great. But if you're not ball handling to condition or full speed, going so fast that you mess up until you can make yourself go that fast with whatever move it is, however, wherever you are. I mean, that's what you need to be doing. All you need is a ball and a chair, or a cone, and you can get a better workout in than if you've got all this stuff. I mean,
gadgets and gimmicks, man. You're right. No, you're right. So, question. So, what to expect from Riley Lewis going in the future? So actually, this is one. So I'm part of a group that's starting the esports and the STEM nets in these inner city public schools. What's kind of actually to be a guest speaker on our tour? What is that? What's your approach to that? You know what I mean? because the goal is
Just
obviously to win, like we win in anything. But what type of message you want to get across with that?
pertaining to
Like the speech that you're going to give to the kids, just to keep them engaged throughout your speech.
yeah, I mean, I guess it would be technology is just way different now than ever before. And these kids are obviously, know that better than anybody, but I think it would be, no matter what you're doing, if it's esports, if it's whatever it is, I mean, you if it's sports related, one day it's going to end, right?
Right.
One day it's going to end. And if you go on and be a coach, that's still different. I mean, one day it's going to end. How do you take what you learned and apply it to the next thing? And that's something to this day, I still, struggle with or battle with or try to, to work on. I'm nowhere near where I want to be yet, but I've got the plan, I've got the vision, I've got the, what I need to do. But I mean, I guess it would be how to use, it's valuable what you're going through, as a kid, as a high schooler, it's valuable. Everything you do, everything you're going through is valuable.
Right.
How do you not get in the real world and just lose it all?
Right.
Right. And how do you win within what you want to be doing with what resources you have, I guess.
What resources you have at the present time. Yeah. And don't wait. Don't hesitate, And I mean, I respect that, and make sure, you talk to them obviously through your experiences. You feel me? And that's how you resonate with people. And don't try to be nobody that you're not. I can respect it a lot, and deal with what resources you have now. Don't make excuses and complain. No, 300% respect that. All right, Riley, we out. We taking enough of your time. The more I look at you, man, the more you look more and more like a twin image of your dad every day, man.
People, listen, I want you to clip this and ask. People are 50-50 always. I get, you look just like your mom or you look just like your dad. And they're very
you look just like your dad futurely, but you got your charm like your mom presently. Make sense?
We have the same eyes. My mom and I have the exact same eyes.
Right.
So I think
but your hope, like you as a person, you're your dad. You are. And that's not a bad thing. Your dad's a freaking OG, man. I mean, he is. Shout out to Mr. Lewis for being the man he is, for sure. I mean, I mean, we can go on and on about him, but he's a good dude, good person.
We'll get him on for sure.
All right, Riley, I gotta go take care of these girls. I have a part-time job as an Uber. You know that, driving these girls everywhere they go. You feel me?
I'll see you at the game tonight.
See you at the game tonight. Dress warm, my bro. Peace. 2, 1. We are back live, Mr. Riley Lewis. Daughter number 3. Just so you know, just tell you, when you start having those kids,